Officers Blaker and Payne responded around 4 p.m. and later arrived to the 1122 home. Idaho State Police were already present and informed Blaker they located a sheath partly beneath Maddie. Payne mentioned in his version of the PCA that he later witnessed the sheath himself, partly under Maddie. So let's say somewhere around 5 p.m., the sheath was still present, untouched, on the bed.
This is where it starts getting interesting. Let's fast forward to November 20th. So 8 days after the initial discovery, Idaho State Lab located a single male source of DNA, specifically on the button snap. The button snap of a K-bar sheath is made of brass. Brass composes of 70% copper. Let's now hop over to Scotland. This year, in May 2024, the University of Dundee released this scientific paper, Trace DNA and its Persistence on Various Surfaces, a long-term study investigating the influence of surface type and environmental conditions. Part 1, Metals. Okay, let's read the conclusion part. The results of this experiment show that metal type greatly influences DNA persistence. For instance, copper exhibited an expected poor DNA persistence, up to 4 hours, which a purification step did not help increase the DNA yield. Additionally, this study showed that the sample storage environment had no impact on DNA persistence in most cases.
The DNA allegedly found on the brass button snap couldn't have survived 8 days, regardless of how they preserved it. This study showed that the DNA would have bonded to the copper metal and rapidly begin to disintegrate, even by 5 p.m. on the day of the atrocities. The problem we have with this finding is that it largely implies that the DNA was placed onto the sheath by someone else other than Kohberger, and shortly before the Idaho State Lab processed the sample. Since the lab had the sheath for over a week in a secured environment, this further implies that Kohberger's DNA was intentionally placed within 4 hours of the STR analysis performed.